And now, a Buddy Check 13 reminder with News 13's Amy Hoyt.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to News 13. I'm News 13's Amy Hoyt, and we are coming to you live from our newsroom in downtown Panama City. Of course, today is Buddy Check Day, and that's why we're all wearing pink as a reminder to check for lumps in your breast, because early detection of breast cancer is always key. Another special guest today that has come to tell us her journey with breast cancer, which has been very recent. We're glad she's here today. Please help me welcome Marcia Pell. Hi, Marcia.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Now, you probably are familiar to many people. You've been in Bay County a long time, and you work in the healthcare field.
Yes, I'm a registered dietitian, and I work with people with diabetes and weight issues and related things, but not cancer.
Now, you and I have known each other a long time because I used to interview you at the Healthplex, which got destroyed during Hurricane Michael, and now you're in business for yourself, right? You help others. Okay. So tell me a little bit about your story. How did it begin? Did you find a lump yourself?
No, I did not. I go every year for a mammogram, and I went this year, and they wanted additional views, and I'm like, okay, it's not anything. Went back. Then they wanted to do a biopsy because it looked different than last year. There was a place, a lymph node that was swollen and looked different, and then a place in my left breast. I still didn't think I had a problem. But I went for the biopsy, and then I got a call from the doctor's office to come in to hear the results. I'm like, oh gosh, I've got it. So I was totally surprised.
How do they tell you? Like, how do they say it?
Well, it was interesting because my healthcare provider this time said, well, it was positive. And I'm like, okay.
It takes you a second.
That's a good way to say you have cancer, and it sounds positive.
Yeah.
But I knew, of course. I knew that I had cancer.
Were you by yourself when you got the diagnosis?
No, my husband was on his way back from Orlando at a meeting, and so we scheduled the appointment at the doctor's office so that he could meet me there straight from Orlando. So he was there, and we both knew what we were going to be told. And
are you in shock at this point? Are you crying? Are you emotional?
No, I was not emotional. I was surprised, but I think it hadn't really hit. It was really weird. And then I noticed when I came home, I kept wanting to say, I have cancer. And I think I was just trying to help it sink in or something. But I was not very emotional. And I think I definitely was in shock.
Right. Because you didn't have a lump.
No lump. And I never had a lump. Even when my oncologist tried real hard to feel a lump, he could not feel a lump. So I don't want people to think that if they don't have a lump, they don't need to get their mammograms, because it really helped me a lot. And anyway.
So where do you go from there? Okay, so now you have the diagnosis, and they want to do a biopsy?
Yes. Well, they did the biopsy, and that's how I got the diagnosis. And then we thought for not very long and decided to go to the Mayo Clinic. I donated my kidney there 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I really like how they do things. I love the team approach. So Monday morning, as soon as they opened, I was calling for an appointment. So we went over.
This is Jacksonville, correct?
This is in Jacksonville, yes. So it took a couple of weeks to get an appointment. But anyway, so we went, actually, my first appointment was while we were on vacation. I was really glad I could still go on vacation. And I went over there after the vacation, and they did more testing. And what I have found out, and what my doctor said is, my local doctor, is they look and make sure that they target your treatment to your kind of cancer. And so that it was hard to wait to find out what was going to happen, what kind of treatment was I going to have. That was one of the hardest things, not knowing. Immediately, I started getting online, learning about breast cancer, and it was kind of overwhelming, and I would stop. And I'm like, okay, that's all I can take. And then I would pick it back up. I mean, I am in the healthcare field, and I totally believe in education and support, and I'm a proactive person,
Right.
but it's so much to learn. And I just, kind of took my time and went about it.
Because there's a lot of different breast cancers.
A lot of different breast cancers, and then a lot of other things they find out. So my breast cancer is the most common one, estrogen receptor, let me think, estrogen positive receptors and progesterone positive receptors and HER2 negative.
HER2 negative.
And when you read about it, I mean, it's a slow growing cancer. And I'm like, why is it in my lymph node if it's slow growing?
Was there a reason?
The doctor said, because I asked the question of my oncologist, and he said, well, cancer can grow and go different places. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I did know that. So I don't know. That was just kind of strange because I don't miss my mammograms. And it was just surprising to me. It was already in the lymph node.
So once you get to the Mayo Clinic now and they've decided what, you're going to do chemo first?
Well, no. Actually, the common way to do it is you go and have surgery first. And then I was told I may or may not need chemo. It depends on what happens when they take the cancer out and they learn more about it. I might need chemo, and I for sure will need radiation. And then I'll take a pill for years to try to make sure that I don't try to not have any estrogen on board. So that was the plan. And I go and meet with the surgeon first, or, one of the first things.
Right.
And he says, I want you to have chemo. And I'm like, what? That was one of the hardest days ever. Because I thought chemo was going to be a maybe thing. And now the surgeon wants me to do it. And it works in 20 to 25% of people with my kind of cancer. And
Is that a good number?
No.
That doesn't seem very high.
It sounds terrible. Okay, so you want me to do chemo and it's going to work in 20 or 25% of the people? I mean, that was horrible news. But they are so good at educating people there, and they're so patient at answering your questions and having you think about it and get back with them. So I ended up doing it because he said, because it's in your lymph node and things can travel easily in the lymph node, I'm going to have to take out all your lymph nodes under that left arm. But if you have chemo and you're one of the lucky 20 to 25% that it works on, then you can keep your lymph nodes. And the lymph nodes do good things for immunity. And, so I was like, okay. Anyway.
So do you start the chemo?
Well, then I had to meet with the oncologist to see what he thought. So he's the one that handles the medicine side. And he did a test, you might have heard of it, called an Oncotype DX score. And it shows how likely is my cancer to come back. And mine scored that it was likely to come back.
Wow. It's interesting what they can find out in advance.
I know. So because of that, and it's in my lymph nodes, it was recommended for me to have chemo for my best chance of a cure.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to remember that. I'm doing all this because I want the best chance for a cure. So then I started chemo.
Okay. And this is where you go and sit and they do it through the IV?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for 16 times. Mine was for 5 months.
So you're driving back and forth from Panama City to Jacksonville?
My doctor said it was too far to go. I'm not going to feel good. I can't do that all that many times. So I went to Sacred Heart Cancer Center in Santa Rosa Beach, and that's where I had my chemo and met a local nurse named Gabby, who was my chemo nurse. She's here in Panama City area.
Okay, so now you've gone through that for a number of weeks. Now what? Is it surgery?
Then you recover from that, and then you have surgery.
How much time has passed now since the diagnosis?
It's 5 months.
Since you've been diagnosed and had the chemo?
No, it was longer than that because it took almost 2 months to figure out what the plan's going to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did that make you nervous? Because usually it seems like it goes a little quicker, but you didn't have a lump to remove, per se.
I didn't have a lump, and I just totally trusted the Mayo system.
That's important, isn't it?
I like
to
the
believe in
Mayo
your doctor.
way. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a great place, no
And,
doubt.
I started a pill earlier because I knew I had the type that would that feeds off estrogen, and then they could see real early on that was working. So,
Was your chemo the type that, what do they call it, the Red Devil?
yes,
Yeah.
I had the Red Devil first, and then I had an easier one.
Does that make
That was
you
for
sick?
12 weeks. Well, they've come so far with handling the side effects that it does a lot of things because chemo gets rid of cells that are
Right.
fast growing. So I lost my hair and had all kinds of little problems. But there's a lot of, they know how to handle the nausea, which is one of the biggest early problems I used to have.
Right.
You just don't feel good.
All right. No,
For a long time.
I know. That's what I know. I mean, it's a great thing, but unfortunately, sometimes the treatment is almost as bad as the
I know.
yeah.
I know.
as bad as
And
the
I just
diagnosis.
kept trying to remember. It is killing the cancer. It is killing the cancer. And I just tried to stay positive.
Okay.
And take care of myself.
And okay, so now the chemo is done. You take a break, and now what?
Then we went for surgery. And because I don't have a lump, they couldn't really tell how, I'm backing up a little bit. In the middle of the chemo, they couldn't really tell what was going on.
Right, because it's not shrinking.
It's because they can't tell. Yeah. So they did an MRI and could tell it was really shrinking and having good response in the breast tissue, but they couldn't tell from the lymph nodes. So for the surgery, I knew I was going to be able to get a lumpectomy because the chemo really shrunk the breast tumor down. And then,
So did they do the surgery with the lymph nodes at that point?
yes, so they
Okay,
took, he told me, he says, I'm going to take out 3 sentinel lymph nodes. They're the closest to the breast tissue. And if any of them have cancer, all of them are coming out.
But they don't remove the breast,
No, they just they removed the
lymph nodes.
the 3 lymph nodes that were closest to that and tested them. And 2 of the 3 were positive.
Are they testing them right there?
Yeah, during the surgery.
Oh, and so they are. You,
So then-
obviously, you're not awake. So then what?
So then I just woke up and I'm like, do I have lymph nodes? And I'm feeling, because I knew if I had a tube, a drain tube, that meant they took my lymph nodes. So, and it's funny because the people that are in the recovery, they don't really know what went on. They didn't really know. Some, they're just watching for the recovery part. So anyway, I had to drain tubes. I was like, okay. And I ended up 13 of 21 lymph nodes had cancer.
Wow.
I could not believe that.
Did they take them all out that same day?
Yep. All during
Wow.
the same surgery.
Well, that's a lot.
It's a lot. And,
Do they worry about the other lymph nodes that remain?
well, they took all that are in that area.
Okay.
And to make sure, yes, they kind of worry. I wouldn't say worry, but then I got to do 5 weeks of radiation after that to get every little speck of cancer that could be there.
Right. Is that making you feel bad? The radiation.
No, not really. I
Not
was
like
just
it's
tired.
not like chemo.
No, chemo was terrible.
Yeah.
Even though it was wonderful.
It's a necessary evil.
Yes, because I got so tired, but there was nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
Taking a nap doesn't help. It's just totally killing fast growing cells.
Right.
And I was very anemic and all this stuff.
Now, when you're going through all this, you're married to somebody we've also interviewed, retired attorney Bob Pell. Now, he had just retired, coincidentally enough.
Yes.
What's his reaction to all this?
Well, he is quicker for things to sink in. So, and he worries. So he was really worried. But within a few hours, we both were like, we are going to get through this. We're going to do whatever we can. He was really nervous about all the stuff that goes along with the treatment. And of course. It's me and him.
Yeah, right.
But he was so awesome. He went to every appointment I had. He went with me. I mean, he just was awesome. He started cooking. I had a cookbook for cancer treatment. And because when you have all these symptoms, there's a cookbook that matches your symptoms. and so anyway, he started using that cookbook, and of course, everything's pretty easy to fix. And
yeah, well, good for him. Well, that's great.
And there's a lot of good.
How important is that support?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The other, a couple other things that just made a world of difference. I remember this volleyball mom, a dear friend from 10 years ago, had cancer, and she always was so cute. And so she always wore scarves. So anyway, I contacted her, and she gave me her magic scarf, and I'm one of many breast cancer survivors, who have worn that scarf. So I wore the scarf that she gave me, and then I gave it back. Now somebody else has it. And then coincidentally, another friend of mine I saw at the Mayo Clinic, she was diagnosed 3 days before me.
Was that her? Oh, I don't know if you can go back
Leslie
to that, Spencer.
Jones.
Yeah. Oh, that's your husband right there.
Oh,
Hi,
yeah,
Bob.
That's Bob. And he, when my hair fell out and clumped, all of a sudden it was just like a clump of hair. He shaved my head, and I shaved his.
No,
and that's my daughter, Annie, and that's my darling, Layla. They are my great support. And then the other one, a bald, beautiful woman in me, is Leslie Jones. And both of us, we went on a walk that day, and we got brave enough to take our scarves off at the end. And at the beginning, yes, that's Leslie Jones and myself.
That's not you in the Crimson Tide T-shirt.
No,
you're
that's
on the
the
other
other one. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to talk to her about that shirt, but that's okay. She's a good friend.
Yeah. She was, it was so great to have somebody going through it at the same time, even though we had different treatment plans to a degree, and some of it was the same. She had to have the Red Devil also. But
Now, just recently, this has just been in recent weeks, you finished all of your treatment and rang that bell.
a week and a half ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was doing so
That's incredible. And you look great. You feel good?
I feel really good. I do get a little tired, and I have a little redness from the radiation, but not bad at all.
Now, there's no family history, is there?
No family history.
Is that, does that make it a little bit more mysterious? Like, you're just like, where did this come from?
I thought so but I didn't know very much about breast cancer back then. And what I found out was most people who get breast cancer don't have a family history of it.
Yeah.
Most people do not.
They look for it, but in a lot of cases, all the women I've interviewed, there's no one that they know of in their family.
Yeah, and they said that is usually, I think it's something like 83% that's the case. Wow. I did get tested for genetics from my sister and my daughter, and I'm negative for that.
What does that mean?
Well, I don't have the gene that BRCA gene or any of the other genes that might
indicate
turn into cancer.
Having a daughter who's in her 20s, I know she's still young.
Yeah.
But now, is there a worry there still? Because now family history has begun, or no?
I don't really know.
No?
That's a question I don't know the answer
No, but I mean,
to.
do you worry about it?
I don't really worry about it.
Yeah. You've always been so easygoing.
I just think do everything you can to live a healthy life, which she does. I do. I mean, and then when these things come up, I mean, I've never had anything wrong with me. So it was absolutely shocking. But I learned a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
A lot.
Did they know you were in the health field? Like your doctors who you went to?
No, I try not to tell them.
Because
I mean, they might. I don't know.
I think it gives somebody a little bit of an edge because you're around it. I mean, you've had people come to you who are diabetic, been diagnosed with diabetes, and you've probably seen that I don't know what to do look.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so you kind of have a feeling.
Yes, I totally understand that. And education and support is so key to it all. And so part of me thought, I'm going to be like those people that get diabetes and they are proactive and they want to know, what do I need to do, and get the medical experts and do what they say. I mean, that's kind of how I took that to I think that works. And
now you're going to be able to parlay breast cancer into your business where you help people with their nutrition.
Right. I'm not sure if I'll really do it very much with my business, but
you can give advice.
Well, I went to a diabetes support group that was online, and this is all on my websites for people to be able to go to marciapell.com, free resources, and my favorite things that I used with cancer, breast cancer, are there. But I did an online support group, and somebody in the group says, "Is there any way we could see a dietitian and have a dietitian come to the support group?" And I was like, That's not my area, but I do know about good nutrition. And it is very similar, whether you have diabetes, are interested in brain health, or have cancer. Is very, very similar. But there's a group of dietitians that specialize in cancer, where I specialize in diabetes. So I had the cancer dietitian join the support group, and she was excellent. And so her website is on my
MarciaPell.com?
Yeah, MarciaPell.com under free resources. And everything she does is for free.
Wow.
So,
well, where'd you get that cookbook that your husband used?
I got it on Amazon. I should add that to the list. I didn't think
so
of that.
people can just order it. You can probably get it at the bookstore too.
Yeah, and it's by a dietitian who it was a registered dietitian. And she actually died of cancer, but she was helping somebody else that had cancer. Because you have problems like you might have constipation, you might have nausea, vomiting. You have different things, and her recipes matched what the side effects were. Like if you didn't have a good appetite, what to do. It's just a great cookbook.
Wow.
So I'm going to, when I go home,
put the link.
I'm going to add that. Because I was trying to think, what did I use? My husband used that. I didn't use it that much. I was so lucky. I was so lucky to have
It's
him.
helpful, isn't it, to have a good husband? Yeah, he's a good guy.
He was great.
All right, what's the best advice you give to breast cancer patients now? If you know somebody or you talk to somebody who's been recently diagnosed, what do you tell them?
Well, I think the main thing is to know that the treatments are definitely doable, no matter what the treatment is. I mean, I really had a little bit of everything. But they're all doable, and just to take it one day at a time and try to just see the benefits in every day. And, to go where you're comfortable. And some people don't want other people to know they have cancer. I'm the opposite of that. I mean, not that I want everybody to know I have cancer,
no.
But I want to help, and so I have to get out there, accept help. That's the other thing, accept help. And now I want to give help because so many people help me.
And where do you go from here? Now you have to have a checkup once a year for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go back. I don't know what's happening next. So you never really know what to do next.
Are you taking a pill?
I'm taking a pill.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking
is that
a pill
forever?
For 7 years or 8 years or some long time. I don't know.
Okay.
But I have a follow-up with my oncologist because I do want to know, like, what should I be looking for now, and when should my next mammogram be? And so they have appointments for people that have finished the treatment, that just like what to look for. So I just got scheduled.
Okay.
So.
But you're feeling good.
Feel really good, really grateful.
Does that positive attitude that you have, this happy-go-lucky personality, did that help?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't always happy. But, I mean, the way I see it, we can choose how we behave. There's a lot of things we have a choice in. And just to know that I could do these things and I have good health care, and I had so much support, and I can get through this and just try to focus on not getting ahead of myself. That worked out really good.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and sharing your journey, because I know it's fresh, a week and a half, and you've just completed almost a full year. So we appreciate you, and we'll keep you in our prayers. And we hope folks will go to your MarciaPell.com, because you have free resources there for other breast cancer patients.
Right. Thank you so much for
having
having me.
It's good to see you again.
It's good to tell the story. Thank you.
We do appreciate everybody who has tuned in today. We hope you've learned something from it. I know that I have. And don't forget to join us again in October for another Buddy Check. We'll see you next time.